Lights. Camera action. All right, my friends, welcome. Eric Andreas, YourGuitarSage here. Welcome to the Guitar Show, friends. We're in the new studio. We're gonna have a blast today. We're gonna do, I'm gonna be showing you all about the Nashville Number System today, how it absolutely changed my life, my musical life, which is a big part of my life, and music has literally saved my life, so I can authoritatively say, I hate that word right now, how the Nashville Number System changed my life, okay? Few things before we get started. First off, this is a 1-hour broadcast. We are live, or if you're watching on September 28th at noon, Central Daylight Time, we're live. Otherwise, we're not. So, I'm going to tell you a little story about the Nashville Number System and why it is that you need to take the time to learn this today, okay? Nothing in it for me, except I get to help you, okay? Why it changed my life, if you listen and you go through this with me, and it's super easy. If you can count to 7, which most of you can, then you're gonna get this, okay? Also gonna do Q&A afterwards. 2 things, very quickly. If you're watching on YouTube, the very first link below is, if you click on that, will take you to where everybody else is watching. It doesn't matter where you're at though on today. Nonetheless, if you want the PDFs that I'm going to be talking about, starting in about 1 minute here, you need to go and click on that link. I'm giving those PDFs to you for free, so, and you don't need to sign up for anything, you just literally download them, okay? So the very first link below this video is where you're gonna find those. And obviously, if you're watching on our page, then not on YouTube, but on our page where you'll see the video, that's also right below. You'll see PDF there. What's also there is the $1 trial. You've heard folks talk about this, friends. The Unstoppable Guitar System, we've had literally 250,000 people go through the Unstoppable Guitar System. Some are standard, some are classic, some are pro. We've had over 250,000 people go through this, and it's absolutely changed their musical life as well. So we're giving you a $1 trial today. That's the other link below. It'll give you 30 days to get in there and try absolutely everything, over 1,000 videos, jam tracks, visual jam tracks, everything else. Get in there, check it out. If you don't want to be in there and after you get done, you're like, my musical life has changed, I am too good of a guitar player now, don't need you anymore, Eric, then get on out. You only paid $1. Get out before the 30th day and you won't owe us anything more. Other than that, we've got a monthly membership and we have a lifetime membership, okay? Okay, so we got that. We got through the links there. So if you see anybody else asking about links, please help them out and just tell them where to go, because folks do that. They arrive in the chat late and that sort of thing, okay? Okay, so we got to the links. Now, let me tell you a little story about how, I've mentioned this before, that I went many years and did not know the Nashville Number System. In fact, I probably went about, let me think about this, probably about 4 years, 3 to 4 years, knew nothing of the number system. Let's just call it the number system for a minute, because I'll differentiate what we mean by that and what we talk about as the Nashville Number System. So when I just started playing guitar at about 14 years old, I did what everybody does, what 95% of the people watching right now do. You pick up the guitar and you play your riffs. You know, you play your whatever it is that you're learning, and you're like, cool, I know this song now. And that's great, nothing wrong with that. But what happens if you knew what that meant on a deeper level, okay? On a level that let you write songs better, that allowed you to decipher things and be able to hear things and be able to work things in your head. All this, okay, is all related to the number system. So I went for about 3 years not knowing this, 3 or 4 years. Then when I went to college as a music major, as a classical guitar major, I was introduced to the classical number system, which is essentially the same thing, but used differently, okay? So we don't use that system as much anymore. But essentially, what it is it allows you to understand chords and notes according to their relationship to the other notes and chords. So their relative relationship, okay? And I'll explain to you why that's everything in a minute, okay? So learned that classical system, super easy. You're like, okay, this makes common sense. Why didn't someone teach me this? And then kind of learned it for school and what have you. Really didn't apply it to my own stuff as much. I did a little bit, but not as much until I moved to Nashville. Then when I moved to Nashville, everybody was talking about number charts, and I'd go into the studio and these guys would have these charts with numbers on them instead of the chords, right? And so I would say, well, why are we doing that? Why go through the trouble of naming that chord a number as opposed to just saying it's a C or a G or an F, right? Here's why. If I tell you to play a C chord, most of you would grab this chord right here. You'd play a C chord, and that's great. And that's one level. We'll call that level one, just like, you know, going to school, kindergarten, first grade. You could learn to color, you learn to write your name, you learned some basic social skills, etc. That doesn't mean you know everything yet, right? Believe it or not. So, a C chord's a C chord, awesome. But what happens if we knew what that C chord meant to the rest of the song? Let me explain, and we'll talk about this again after I explain everything to you, and it will mean more to you. But let's talk about this. If we're in the key of G, okay, you don't have to know what the number system is yet because I'm going to explain it to you, but for those that kind of have an idea, if we're in the key of G and I play a C chord is the 1, 2, 3, 4th chord in the G major scale. It's the 4th note, and we build a chord off of that, which is the C chord. So the C chord would be called the 4 chord in the key of G. Key of G, here's G. We go through the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a C, and we build our C chord, and so that's called the 4 chord. In the key of C, the C chord's the 1. Here's the C. There's our 1 and a C chord. So the C chord in the key of C is a 1. In the key of G, it's a 4 chord. And in the key of F, a C is a 5. Here's the F major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a C. And so it's the 5th note. And we build that chord off there. And it's the 5. Now the difference between the 1, the 4, and the 5 chord is everything. Okay? So think about it like this. If you're a general in the Army, or a private in the Army, or a lieutenant in the Army, you have certain authorities, right? There's that word again. We have certain authorities or certain things that can be done because of the ranking, okay? Now, if you're in the sharks, if you're in the water with a bunch of sharks, sharks don't care what your ranking is, okay? But when you're in that particular system, when you're in the military system, those rankings mean everything, okay? And when you're talking about music, you can be like, hey, it's a C chord. I'm not going to learn all that fancy number stuff. Number one, it's just numbers. It's super easy. But if you do learn it, it gives you a lot of other valuable information which will massively change your lives. In fact, right now, we're going to go into the next section here, and I'm going to start digging into it. But if you know any bit about the Nashville Number System and it has absolutely changed your life, please let other people know so it doesn't look like I'm sitting out here just making this stuff up, because you know what I'm talking about. And you'll see it because folks in my program, folks in the Unstoppable Guitar System, and whenever I do these videos, folks are like, oh my gosh, the Nashville Number System, it's everything. Okay. Now they call it the Nashville Number System because there is a type of transcription where instead of the chords, C, G, F, or whatever, we write the numbers, okay? I just spit. Sorry, sue me. We write the numbers out, okay? And that is because, for several reasons. Number one, if we wanted to change keys, if we wanted to put our capo on, if instead of playing a C, D, G, like that, if we wanted to put our capo on and now instead of thinking C, G, D, we're still playing C, C, G, sorry, C, D, G. We could still do that. We're still playing the same chords, but now that I've capoed here, I'm actually thinking A, B, and E. And so that could be a little bit confusing if you're looking at a chart that says C, G, and D. Now, if I'm that guy in the studio and I really want to play in this upper part of the guitar because the other guy's playing down here and I want some different notes to be heard, because orchestration's everything. If you got a bunch of guitar players playing the chord down here, then they're all stepping on each other. But if you got a guitar player down here, got a guitar player up here, and a guitar player up here, this is what I do in Gabriel the Bull. We put the guitars in different places so sonically it makes sense. If you can't do that, now you're like, well, I just got to play down here. Now you're that guitar player who doesn't have that knowledge, and you're trying to make it as a studio guitar player or as a great guitar player in town or whatever, or in a band, and you don't have the knowledge because you said, I don't want to do that. I just want to know the C chord, okay? So you can see why this is really important information, okay? Okay, all right, let's dig into it. Now we're going to get into the legit part of this where I'm teaching you the bits and pieces here, okay? Now, you should have already downloaded the PDF, the very first link below, okay? Download that PDF, go do it right now, and we're going to delve into it, but I'm assuming you've done it already, okay? So, now, diatonic harmony, I'm not going to go into every little bit and piece here. You can do this on your own. I'm going to guide you through it because I want to make sure I get to your questions. Diatonic harmony is harmony, right? More than one note that's built upon the major scale. The major scale is the de facto benchmark. It is what we measure everything in music by. So when you're talking about an 11 chord or a 13 chord or a sharp 9 chord, we're talking about the 9 or the 13 as it appears in the major scale, okay? If it was the minor scale or the Dorian mode or something like that, now we've got a totally different system. The major scale is what we need to know. So we have G major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or 1. So if we wanted a 13 chord, then I would know, you know, there's a 13, yeah? Got my 13th note in there, yeah? And so that's what we're going to use for everything here, okay? Now, the only thing you need to know is the construction of the major scale. And on that first page, diatonic harmony, if you go about halfway down, you'll see the major scale, and it goes whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So if we take any note, doesn't matter what note you start on, you will right now, in about 30 seconds, know every major scale, and we'll be able to play it off of any fret and know it in any key right now. Here you go. This is how it goes. Take any note, doesn't matter. And you're going to go. Here's the first note. And you see that WWH, WWWH. That means whole step, half, whole, half. Where half is the distance from one fret to the next. And whole is obviously two halves. So from here to here is a half step, and from here to here is a whole step. Okay? So we follow this pattern, whole, half, whole, half, or WWH, WWWH. Then it goes like this. Here we go. We hit our first note. We don't say whole until we move, because it's the distance between two notes. It's not an actual note. Okay? So here we go. Here's our 1. We're going to move up a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And that's the major scale. And that's why it sounds complete, doesn't it? We can do this anywhere. If we do this on the F, we go whole step, half step, whole step, half step. By the way, I have these diagonal chords, or these scales that go across the fretboard in this document on the next section, okay? If we were in the key of C, we could do the same thing. You can start this off of any string. Here's a C, we can go whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Easy enough, okay? So just to understand that when we're talking about these numbers, that's where we're coming from. And if we started on this G, then we just say the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay? All right. Now, Scrolling down to the major scale, you can read through all that, and then I'm looking at the PDF, by the way, that's in the link right below this video, okay? And then I have a few across the fretboard bits for you, okay? So you've got those major scales there. Good, good. All right, nice. Then we have how to read chord charts, okay? So this is where the rubber really meets the road, okay? Because there's several reasons why one would want to know chord charts. Number one is if you're in the studio, or for instance, my buddy Nate, a great guitar player, a great keyboard player, I've invited him to come on out and join the band, to sit in with us and jam, see how that goes. And I asked him, I said, do you read charts? And he said, yes, I do. So he said, I'm not a number system chart guy, but I'm a regular chart guy. So he's mainly an ear guy. That's totally fine. At the end of the day, he's kind of doing the same thing with his ear, but some people lean more on their ear, some people more on their intellect. But if you're using both, now you're dual-edged sword, okay? You can do all sorts of things, very, very dangerous in a good way. Okay, so knowing how to read charts is really important when you're in the studio, you're playing for a band, if you're doing worship music, there's charts, 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 okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to, using the PDF here, we're under the charts section here, okay? And on the second page, third page, fourth page, there's something called the counting song, okay? Now, in fact, is that the one we're going to use? Let me see. I'll tell you in a minute. No, we're not. Keep going. Come down to Big Cheater, okay? It's called Big Cheater. If you'd really like to know the name of that song, it's Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. But is it? Is it really? I'm calling it Big Cheater to avoid copyright infringement because it's just chords and you can't copyright a chord progression. So on second thought, it's not Carrie Underwood's, it's not that song. It's just called Big Cheater. Just happens to have a similar chord progression and you can't copyright a chord progression. So there you go. All right, so we're looking at Big Cheater. Now, I want you to notice a couple things. I'm going to just kind of give you an idea here about reading a chart, and then we're going to go down to the next one, which is going to be taking the same thing and creating a number system chart out of it, okay? So you'll notice at the very top it says in 4. Usually it'll just say 4 in a Nashville chart, or might say in 4 or 4/4, which just means 4 beats per measure, right? So like, and I'm just noticing here that I've got my chart is wrong here. It says E instead of E minor. I'm going to have to correct that. Mike, if you would write a little note, I need to do that when we're done here and upload that. Okay, so, but you're looking at it right now, instead of an E, it should be an E minor there. So starting off, it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, you'll see that it says Capo 2. That's just notes that I have. And that's because when we capo a song, we usually don't think, okay, now this is an F sharp minor, and this is an E, and this is a D, and this is an E. We don't think that way. Usually as a guitar player, we say, no, capo, the 2nd fret, and it's just E, D, and C, okay? So essentially, if you've ever done this, you're kind of doing the number system, but without knowing the numbers. But you're doing the same thing, because this is not an E minor, this is not a D chord, this is not a C chord. Because if a keyboard player or bass player was playing with us, and you were shouting those out, E minor, D, C, it's going to sound terrible, because they're going to be playing over your. It's going to sound terrible. Okay, so all that being said, you can see that we have on the side there, intro, verse, chorus, verse again, chorus again, bridge, turn around, chorus again. So that just kind of tells you the sections of the songs. And then you can see the chords going across, E, D, C, D. We're going to call it E minor, D, C, B7, okay? Now, Okay, so you have that idea, and that's great. But again, now what I want you to do is I want you to think about this. Now go down to the next page, and it says Big Cheater Number System, okay? Big Cheater Number System. This is in the PDF that you can find right beneath this video. There's a link, you'll see it. It says PDF, and that's where you'll get it, okay? And this is in the charts section, so we're like in section 3 of this free PDF that I'm giving you today. Okay, I'm assuming you're there already. Now, what we're going to do is, check this out. It says 6545, 6545, or 6543 in the next time around, okay? So these numbers represent the scale note of a particular key, Now that particular key is designated what's in the upper left-hand corner, okay? And so in this case here, it would say A, key of A. And then you just see the numbers there. So then you would know that the key of A, right there, and you would know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Just like I showed you in the PDF there, I give you that scale, okay? So you know the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Everybody's got that. They can count the numbers, right? Give me a thumbs up. Or backwards. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now, you see the minus symbol right after the 6, that just means minor. And you see the 7 after the 3, second line down. 65, 45, 65, 43, but that 3 has a little small 7 underneath it. That's a 7th chord, okay? So we can put those little embellishments like minor, major, minor, 7th, 9th, 13th. Like if you wanted to put those chords in there, you could, and that's where it would show up. Otherwise, if it's not minor, or if it's not 7th or something like that, then it's going to be major. You just assume that it's major. Just if I say to you, play a C chord, that you don't have to ask, do you mean a C9 or a C minor or a C13 flat G, F, L? What? No? What? No. It's a C chord. If I say play a D, it's a D chord, okay? I just put GFL in there, like Georgia, Florida line, Georgia line, FGL, whatever. Not a band that I listen to too much. But, okay, so you got these chords there, right? You got them in the number system. Now, if we were to be in the key of, now watch this. If you're listening, this stuff is going to start blowing your mind here, okay? We're in the key of A, okay? I say that because we're capoed at the 2nd fret, and if it's the feel of G, we're moving the G up to the A, and that is literally the key of A. If that messes with your mind, do the dollar thing today. Go through that beginner section. I'll clear it all up for you, okay? If you're wanting to move forward, you've got to invest a little bit of time, energy, and a little bit of mental, you got to commit to it a little bit if you really want to do it. If you don't, then it's just, you're kind of just dabbling at it. Nothing wrong with that, no judgment, but just calling it out, right? All right, so here we are. So if we're going to play this number system here, and we have an A, if we know we're in the key of A, then we can go to the 6, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? That note is an F sharp. Okay? I could go back 2 frets and down 2 strings to find the octave of that. Okay? Now, anytime, this is probably getting more into it than I need to, and I won't get into all the particulars here, but I know right away by looking at patterns right away that it would make sense for me to capo this here, because if I have a major chord here and I have a minor chord here, it makes sense for me to capo this instead of me try to play those same chords without a capo like this. I love when rock players say, you use a capo? That's a crutch. Look, I'm a rock player. I grew up playing rock. Using a capo is not a crutch whatsoever, and in fact, the reason that rock players say that is because they only play in the key of E and D or A, and they never get outside those keys. So of course you don't need a capo. But if you ask them to play an F sharp or B flat or D flat or something like that, all of a sudden they're going to be like, well, I can't do that. Yeah, of course you can't. So stop calling the capo a crutch unless you know what you're talking about, which you don't. Right? The best players in the world use capos. So maybe talk to them. Tell them that they're weak, Okay. All right, so there you go. I don't want to do this, and I don't necessarily want to play a bar chord like that, but if I'm using my capo now, oh, it's so much easier, right? So I know that would be my 1 chord, and so I got a 6 minor right here. I can go 1, 7, 6. Remember I said it's good to be able to count backwards, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my octave. So I got it starting off on there. I have a 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm thinking about that like a D, right? We're in the key of A, but I'm thinking about it like this is a G, and I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could think about it in many ways. I could think about it like an A and an E, or I could think about it like a G and a D because of the capo, or better yet, right now, since we're talking about the number system, let's think about it like a 1 and a 5 chord, because essentially that's what we want to do. We want to think about that like a 1 and a 5 chord. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we have a 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a, you know, what would look like a C bass note there. And since there's no minus symbol after it, I'm going to play it a major. And then we have another 5, so back to our D. So that first line's going to go. Now someone might say, well, where's the strumming? It doesn't tell me the strumming. We're not worried about strumming right now. We're just worried about the chords. Don't get ahead of yourself, just the chords. I'm making up the strumming, okay? So, second line, same thing. A 6 minor, 5, 4 chord. Now here, this is our 4, this is our 3. 1, 2, 3, right? So here's our C chord, and it says a 3, 7, so it's a B7 in this case here. Or, forget about B7, it's a this, 1, 2, 3, it's a 3, 7 chord. So you just need to know how to play a 7th chord. Now listen, the only thing I'm wanting you to get out of this right now, because I know some of you are bailing out already, don't bail out, don't be weak, okay? It needs to be said more in the world today, because everybody's so damn sensitive. If you're weak, okay? Let's just call it what it is. You can always get strong. But if you keep on going, I'm not weak, I just don't want to do it, then you're just always going to be weak. So don't be weak and just push through this with me, okay? I promise you when you get to the other side here, it's going to be very, very rewarding, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. I say it in love, okay? Say it in love. 1, 2, 3. There's my 3, and so this is a 3, 7 chord. So that whole intro would sound like this. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go through the whole chart with you. We're not going to do that. So I really do want to get to your questions. But let's, let me see. Now, I wanted to give you another example here. So not another example in a song, but I wanted to show you like how I might play this song differently. Okay? So here's my tonal center, right? Okay, there's that we're saying that's an A. Okay, now technically, if I took this note and I played it right there, I could capo. Now this is weird because I probably wouldn't capo an acoustic guitar this high, right? But, right? So technically, I could take that same number system and now play like I'm in the key of C. There's my bass note. Okay, so when I was down here, my bass note was. And here, I'm an octave up. A, both my tonal center. So now what I could do, and I do this in the studio all the time when I'm tracking acoustics, I'll double them. I'll triple them sometimes. So I'll do one in this section, one in this section, one in this section. Now we got this big sounding acoustic guitar because we have all these frequencies present, okay, that wouldn't have been there before if we just had the one dealio, the one guitar. So now, in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So our 6 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is an A. Or I could go backwards. 1, 7, 6. So there's our 6. Our 5 is 1, our 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be like a G. Now I'm doing this quickly because I've done it a bunch. You're not going to get this quickly. Why would you expect to, right? You're just getting into it. So be gentle with yourself, man. It's just, we want the basic idea to get across to you. Then you have to practice it, okay? It's just like reading music. People, they start reading music and they're like, how do I get good at this? This is hard. Of course it is. You have never done it before. Why would, it's like if you took Russian, would you think you all of a sudden, man, Russian's hard. It's not hard, you don't know it. You're just sitting down to it for the first time. So of course it's gonna be challenging, right? Anything you sit down to for the first time. So this is gonna be a little challenging. I can do it quicker, maybe, because I've done it a bunch, okay? So C, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just using this as a C major scale that I give you in this PDF, and that's this chord here, and then a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like what kind of feels like an F, okay? So if I was playing this, I would have the A minor. This is why I don't capo this high up, because it's kind of goofy on the guitar. Let's see, here we go. Okay, now here's the deal. If I was looking at the chords that we were looking at before, the G, C, whatever, was it G, C, G, C, D, E minor, B7, and I'm looking at the chart, because remember you said, why confuse it with numbers? Well, then I would be very confused if I was looking at the chords, because I wouldn't be able to do this. But if I'm looking at numbers, I could decipher it in my head. For those who are just starting off, it's going to take some time. You're going to have to do it manually, and then eventually you get so quick at it. So when you see Guthrie Trapp or these guys who are just amazing studio players, or just like amazing players, and they're able to think across those chords very quickly, it's because they've done it so much that it's literally become part of them. And there's no difference between you and them except for the amount of time that they've spent on the instrument. You literally could be in the place that they are if you did the same amount of work or more so than they did, okay? So just know that, understand that, it's absolute true. The only people that don't agree with that are people that are never gonna try it. And it's much easier to just admit defeat than it is to work harder. Well, that's what some people think, but it's just, that's a big fat lie. Okay, so here you go. So I did, okay, sounds a bit like just having fun. Okay, so you get the idea. So that's all we're doing is we're relating numbers to chords, because it will allow you to transpose, it will allow you to play multiple parts. You can do, using the Cage system, I mean, I was using the Cage system the whole time for identifying chord shapes, right? I do this non-stop when I'm playing with Gabriel the Bull, or any other band for that matter. If I'm in a top 40 band or cover band, then maybe I'm just playing the parts, but I'm still analyzing as I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, okay, we're in this key and we're doing that. No, that's cool. Okay. Oh, there's an arpeggio there. Okay, I see what he's doing there. And so I do that, but if I'm playing and I'm coming up with new parts for a song, I'm thinking the number system, Cage system, I'm thinking those things at the same time. One doesn't replace the other, they just go in tandem. They work together, okay? So that kind of gives you a little idea, a broad scope of what the Nashville Number System is. I have a whole course on that inside the Unstoppable Guitar System. So if that seems like something that you're like, dude, this is absolutely mind-blowing, take advantage of the $1 offer that we have today. It's the second link below. We're gonna go into questions in just one second here. But if it sounds like something that would change your life like it did me, and still does every single day, because I use it all the time, then take advantage of the $1 offer today. Oh, and Mike just put this up earlier, our tip jar for Buy Me a Coffee. If you just want to say thank you, Eric, for doing this live thing, and Mike, of course, please hit that link there and buy the kids a coffee, all right? Here we go. I'm going to look at some questions here, and this is going back as far as an hour ago at 11:36 when you kids started pouring in, okay? I'm going to be looking for those that have a question mark and that are in all caps. That's going to be the easiest for me to do here. And here we go. Okeechobee? Someone saying, anyone ever heard of Okeechobee? Yeah, dude, Okeechobee. I'm from Florida. In fact, yeah, I know Okeechobee. Will the audio come on with the lights? It will. Okay, there's Luann Breaks. She says it changed my life as well. So yeah, Luann knows. She's in the Unstoppable Guitar System. She knows it's a big deal. The Gibson is back, friends. Tom Murphy from Gibson fixed this all up for me, and you can't even hardly tell, man. There was a big old crack right here. Tom Murphy, who does all the Les Paul relicking. If you've ever lusted over a Les Paul guitar, those ones, especially the ones that are vintaged up, right, with all the patina and stuff on it. That's Tom Murphy that does that. He's an absolute artist, and I'm lucky enough to have him. We're lucky enough to have him here in Nashville. And Greg Ellis got me set up with Tom to fix that, and just got it back recently. And the PSA, friends, is make sure your guitars are humidified during the winter. Or if you're in a dry location, make sure they are humidified because they're going to break. I preached it all the time, and with this guitar, I had it hanging on a wall, didn't have it in the case, and didn't have the room humidified enough, and I paid a lot of money to have that repaired, okay? And it's obviously got a crack in it now, so not cool. But it's as good as it's going to get. Okay? All right. All right. Game changer, yep. Okay, see, a bunch of people are saying this, man. They're like, yeah, absolutely changed my life, yep. It's a big deal, man, because once you understand it, okay, it's like viscerally. Once you understand it viscerally, right now you may be like, hey, I don't quite understand it like you do, Eric. That's okay. It's just a matter of repetition. I didn't either. I just kind of got the basic concept, and then I'm like, Dwight is saying, take the time to learn it. It's a big deal. But it's literally just repetition that's going to get you there, okay? Cool. Yeah, George, you're right. Smash that like, folks. And if you have someone to share this with, share it out to the interwebs with the kids. We always like to see that. So, exactly. Tell Mark Knopfler that a capo is a crutch, or any amazing guitar instructor, guitar player in Nashville here. My goodness, use it all the time. EKW 555. I'm softer than baby poo, which is very soft. Okay. Thank you, David, for the kind words. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Keep hearing All Along the Watchtower. Yeah, could be. Could be. Many of those chord progressions are similar. That's the funny thing about chord progressions is that is literally the way it is. It's like there's only so many different things that you can do. But the funny thing is that if you change the melody a little bit, if you change the key, if you change the melody, if you change the production, if you change the instrumentation, all of a sudden it sounds like something completely different. So somebody said my niece said, if you started as a child, you could be as good as them. Not true. Not true at all. I've seen players come in brand new, have never played before, and they hit the ground running, and they were passionate about learning, and they learned that instrument really, really well within 2-3 years. I've seen it. And they weren't special. The only thing that was special about them is that they went after it. That's the only, and that's very special. That to me is way more special than someone being born with something, if I'd even believe that. I don't. Well, not when it comes to stuff like that. It's a big cop-out. And I get a lot of crap from people, but I'm sorry, I'm not gonna get on this soft bandwagon where I gotta treat everybody so soft. Hey, Lacey! My friend Lacey's watching. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna get on that bandwagon. That's bull. Wow, the world's so weak. Thank you, Authentically MG. So he appreciates my whippings. To me, what has always made Eric such a phenomenal teacher is how he both challenges while at the same time encourages. Yes, hopefully I'm encouraging you guys. Question, can you play the guitar? I love to hear. I can play a little bit. If you start with a minor, does that change the number system? That's a great question. I didn't address that, so let's talk about it. So now this is one of the things that bothered me, and one of the things that's different about the classical version of the number system and the Nashville number system. It's a mentality, okay? Not one is right, not one is wrong. It's just a different way of thinking. So in the classical number system, we do identify the, okay, so think about this. 99.99999% of all music is either in a major key or in a minor key. This idea, this thought, usually from beginners that, oh, this song was written in a mode or something like that. It's such a minute amount of songs that are out there, we might as well not even say that it exists, okay? What I do is I say, oh, it's the minor key with a flattened 6 or something like that. Like I don't, I'm sorry, a minor, I'm thinking Dorian now with a raised 6. So that's how I think, okay? It's just a minor scale with a raised 6 or something like that, as opposed to it being in this, it just makes it out of touch for people when it doesn't have to be that way. So 99.99999% of everything is literally major or minor, okay? And so, because of that, we can have two tonal centers. The classical thought of the number system identifies that or accepts that and says, yes, we're going to call the minor 1 a minor 1. Also, the classical system uses Roman numerals, whereas the Nashville number system just uses our regular, everyday number system, numbers like numerals. They use Roman numerals, and so in the case of a minor key for a classical, you might see a small I, which represents a 1, right, as a minor. So instead of it saying 1 minus, it would just be a small I as opposed to a capital I, which would be a major 1, okay? So, but let's forget about that. Unless you're playing classical, which you're going to be studying with somebody else, not me. Let's talk about the Nashville number system. Typically, usually, Nashville players don't ever call the 1 minor. They almost always call the 1 major, and if it's in the minor key, then they'll just say, well, they don't even say it. They're just like, it's a 6 minor. So that's it. It's just the 6 minor. So in this case here, the song that I just played for you, that is in a minor key, but we relate it to the related, what we call relative major. Every major key has a related minor key, and every minor key has a related major key. And what that means is they share the exact same set of notes and the exact same set of chords. Okay? And you might say, well, how can that be? Well, let's think about this. Have you ever woken up and been in a great mood? Yeah, right? Okay, awesome. Have you ever woken up and just been in a pissy mood? And people are like, hey, what's up with Mike? Well, same Mike, he's just pissy today, okay? He's not, he's in a great mood. He's always in a great mood. But if he were, that'd be kind of like playing in a minor key. It's like, what chords are you playing? What melodies are you playing? How are you presenting those chords, and in what order to get to lean it more towards a sad sound as opposed to a more major sound? So in Nashville, most of the songs are in a major key, Very rarely do you have a song in a minor key. This one is, but it's rare. And so usually it's in a major key, so they just say, let's just do everything in a major key. I think it's smart. It bothered me at first because I grew up with the classical method, and then when I moved to Nashville, I'm like, but that's a legitimate key, a minor key. But it makes sense. My wife taught me this because she was in the studio a lot as a songwriter, and she still is. And she said, well, think about it. Most things stay in a major key. If it goes into the minor, it's there for a second, but it comes back out. And what my thought was, well, then I also have to relearn the major. I have to relearn the number system 2 different ways now, as opposed to just one way. So Brother Mike, if you start with a minor, does that change the number system? It's not so much starting with it, it's what's the tonal center. That's more the question. So it doesn't matter if you start with the minor, because in this case we started with the minor, okay? It's more of what's the tonal center, because that's always what we call the 1, right? But in the case of the Nashville Number System, just call the related major the 1, and the related minor is called the 6, okay? If you want more information about relative major and minor on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage relative major minor, okay? Obviously, if you're in the Unstoppable Guitar System or you're getting in today for that $1, second link below, then you are also going to be privy to all of that, okay? Yeah, great question. Thank you. David concurs. That is a great question. All right, good. Fantastic. I love it. All right. Thank you, Dwight. Super kind. What do you recommend for an in-case humidifier? I'll tell you what, I've got a lot of guitars, and I was literally doing it today. I have a lot of guitars, and what I did is instead of going out and buying like $20 and $30 humidifier systems, I bought my own system, and I went to the dollar store and I got a set of baggies for $1, like sandwich bags, and I literally bought like 2 packs of, I think 5 sponges per, or maybe it was more than that because I got a lot more guitars than that. Anyhow, I got a bunch of sponges for, I don't know, 10 sponges for $1, and I did that like 3 times. And then what I do is I take that sponge, I wet it, okay, not to where it's dripping, but to where it's wet, to where it's moist, put it in the baggie, put a couple holes in the bag, put that in your case. Voila. Now you're not having to spend a bunch of money. That's the system I would recommend because it's cheap and it works, okay? Hey man, is it worthwhile memorizing the number system in each key, or do you only really use the keys C and G? It's a fantastic question, Michael Forbes. So here's the deal. I know the Nashville Number System in all the keys, but how quickly? It's just like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So if someone asked me, you know, what are the chords in the key of B flat, I'd have to sit there and do the math in my head. You'd see me looking up and I'd be doing the math. It's in the key of G, I could easily say G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F diminished, F sharp diminished, and I could easily do that for the keys of G and C. The next keys that you would want to do it in are like D, E, and A, so caged. C, A, G, E, and D, those basic open keys, okay? Does that make sense? Great question. Matt is saying, as an intermediate player who is mostly self-taught, I know I'm missing bricks in my learning. You and everybody, Matt, because that's the way, as a guitar player, we're playing guitar and we're having a blast, right? And then eventually we're like, well, crap, why didn't someone tell me that? Because it's not like a system of doing things, boom, 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 which is obviously why I've created a system for doing that, because you can play and then you can come into the system and work your way stepwise through it. How do you advise someone to fix those gaps? Should I do those 30 free lessons? Matt, yeah, you should. And there's no one that should not do the 30 free lessons, YourGuitarSage.com/30. I give them to you for free. You might as well take advantage of it. But go through those first if you'd like. But better yet, take advantage of the dollar offer today, because you'll have that, and you'll have the whole intermediate section. You'll have intermediate plus section. You'll have the advanced section. You'll have the advanced plus section. You'll have a 365 guitar plan, which is a daily walkthrough, 7 different subjects over 7 different days, and it graduates each week for 52 weeks, and it gives you a plan. Tons of folks that are in here right now are in 365 as well as UGS. So that's what I would advise, Michael. Take advantage of the dollar offer today. It's even better. And like I said, if you don't like it, you get out before 30 days, and that's all you spent was $1. It's like driving a Tesla for 30 days for free. You can't beat that, okay? All right. John L. says, I agree 100% with the born with it garbage. You know what's so funny is that it's so polarizing, which is weird in a world where nothing's polarizing right now. It's weird that people would disagree about that. But I find, oh, and I'm going to offend somebody right now, so here we go, is that the people that understand this, John, are winners. What I mean by that is the things that they do, they automatically succeed in. It's like magic. And the people that don't believe that, they don't succeed. And they're constantly tripping over themselves, and they're wondering, why do I keep tripping over myself? I'm born under a cursed star or whatever. And it's like, nope, it's your thinking, it's your psychology, that's it. It's that easy. Now fix it, right? Follow some people that don't think that way. Hang out with people that don't think that way. You're gonna not think that way anymore. Eric, I'm late to the stream. Is the Nashville Number System similar to the circle of fifths? No, it's not. But, you know, everything intertwines, but no. Okay. $216 watching and only 26 thumbs up? What? Get on and hit that Bitcoin. Thank you, Lisa. Indeed. Hit that thumbs up, friends, and share. That's right. Yes, 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 yes. Indeed. Okay. Oh, thank you, George. I was at the same time self-taught with gaps. Did the 30-day first and then went pro after Eric's course. Has absolutely changed my playing after 30 years. Thank you, George. So kind. Yes, Mike is behind the scenes everything. He is a flippin' ninja. I couldn't do this without him. No way. All right, good. Almost to the end of these questions. So basically the cage system, but gives the chords numbers related to the key you're playing in. So here's what I mean by that. Okay, so look, if we're talking about the number system, or you know, here we go. So we take a chord, a basic chord progression of like say a 1, 4, 5. Okay, so like 1, 4, 5. G, C, D, because it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 1, 4, 5 notes from the scale, and I'm just adding the major chords to it, okay? So if someone said, okay, I'm playing in the studio, I'm playing this. Sometimes I think life is just a rodeo. You know, that old song, or a million other chord progressions like that, like Best Friend's Girl. Eyes. Right, it's all the same. But if someone said, now this is where I would use the cage system, okay? So I'm like, well, it's a 1, 4, 5, and then if I know that's a bass note there, and I could play something off that, then I know I could play my E shape there, my A shape, and my A shape, but up a whole step. Right? And then I could move it up again like this, and I could go, let's do this, let's do this. I know what I was looking for. I was looking for this. See, that's, again, this is the number system. This is why this is so helpful. So I'm cutting a track in the studio, I'm playing. And I'm like, let me track it again. I'm gonna do another pass. Maybe I'm not using the same guitar, usually not. I'm usually doing different stuff, but let's say I am. Right, and then I'm like, I want another pass. Let's do it again. Now you can hear I'm bringing in some different notes, right? And we could keep going, but it gets weird, gets goofy going up the neck there, okay? So great stuff. That's a great question, Thomas. Beautiful. Thank you. Mark is saying, thank you for my veterans membership. Indeed, you're so welcome, Mark, and thank you for your service. If you're a U.S. veteran, we offer the whole enchilada of the Unstoppable Guitar System for free. Okay, go to YourGuitarSage.com/veterans to find out more about that. All right. Brother Mike's a lifetime member. Beautiful. Okay. Oh, you're so welcome, Colton. I don't have a credit card. Can I pay with PayPal? Yeah? No, we don't have that set up anymore. We do not have that set up anymore, friend. We don't have PayPal set up anymore. Oh, let's see. Okay. Oops. Okay. Sorry. YouTube does this thing where it just goes to the bottom of the chat sometimes, and I got to catch back up to where I'm at. Okay. I'm finding, so Michael Forbes is asking, I'm finding it difficult to train my ear to deciphering what key a song is in. Also, just even figuring out what sounds good when I'm noodling. Any advice? Thanks in advance, man. Yeah, Michael, that's a broad question that probably has lots of little things for us to, I say probably, definitively has lots of little things to plug in. So, and way too much to cover in this moment here, but let me show you where to look. Obviously, if you're in the Unstoppable Guitar System, anything that I'm telling you to find on YouTube, you're gonna find it in much more detail and usually a course dedicated to it inside of UGS. Like for instance, the answer to that question is how do I train my ear? Well, I've got a whole ear training course inside of UGS. I also have a whole course on finding the key to a song, and we use several song examples. So literally, that's how to do it. So, and you can take advantage of that, friends. You can get all of that for $1. Get in there and try it out. If you don't like it, after 29 days, get out. You're not charged anything more except for that $1. If you're just like, I have $0 and I don't ever want to buy anything online because I'm scared of computers, fine. Then go on YouTube, which is usually on your computer, and then go to search YourGuitarSage Key, K-E-Y. Okay, I've got like, I don't know how many videos out there, but lots of videos on YouTube, well over 1,000. And so you're usually gonna find something out there, okay? A song, something like that. But in this case here, I have something on to teach you that. A little shortcut though, Michael, is the very first chord of the song, the very last chord of the song, the very last note of the chorus, vocally singing it is, right? Is usually gives away what the key is. Something else that'll give away the key is what the notes are. So that whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step bit, once you see that little pattern appear in the melody or on anything, the vocalist or the guitarist or whatever, solos, you're gonna see, oh, there's my tonal center. So there's that. Yeah, first chord, last chord of the song, last note of the chorus, those are usually dead giveaways, usually. So I think of myself as a detective when I'm trying to do this, and the more clues I get, eventually I'm like, no, absolutely, that's the key. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can do it immediately. Sometimes I might need a couple clues, okay? So that's how to find the key. Now, as far as noodling, Michael, check out chord noodling. I have videos for this on YouTube, but again, I've got the whole system for it, a whole course on chord noodling inside UGS that will help you with that whole noodling part. Because really it comes down to that there are certain patterns that are going to work with the chords. And that's the major scale usually. Okay, sometimes it could be pentatonic, might work even better, but you get the idea, okay? My niece said, do you think that the human brain is always born the same? People have different strengths. I 100% agree with that. I'm not gonna be ridiculous and say that people aren't. I mean, obviously, some people are born with, you know, special needs, lower IQ, higher IQ, but I think what's happened over the years is we've relied on silly things like that, on intellect, when intellect, I mean, you want to see what's happening to the world right now, look to the intellectuals, because they're the ones that are doing all this stuff. So it has very little to do with intellect. It has a lot to do with the heart, it has to do with the spirit, it has to do with the pineal gland and your third eye and a bunch of other stuff that science is just now starting to go, whoa, I think this may be real. Yeah, you think so, Sherlock? We've only been studying it for like thousands of years. Other people have been. You guys have, not you, but scientists are like, I think it may be real. What do you think? We're discovering stuff. Yeah, welcome, welcome. So I don't think that everybody's born the same way, no. But what I do believe is that if you desire something, the universe opens up for you. But if you don't believe that, then you know, all bets are off. There's nothing that will help that person. Anybody who doesn't believe, and that's a muscle that you have to develop. That's not something that just happens overnight. Okay, that's something that you believe, you step out in faith and you do something, you say, hey, that worked, you know, and you do it more and more and more. And it really comes, so much of it comes down to hard work, right? But if you don't at least believe that you could be a great guitar player, then you're not gonna be a great guitar player. I've never known anybody who's walked out the door, tripped on a brick, and all of a sudden, well, hell, I'm a great guitar player. It always happens something like, I would really like to be this great guitar player. Man, I love that guitar player. And they sit there and they woodshed and they work till 2, 3 o'clock at night. They're just having so much fun. And they wake up early in the morning and they ride the bus with the guitar and they got the guitar everywhere because they're obsessed. And that obsession makes people great at things, right? But if you don't believe, why would you even pick up the instrument, you know? So I agree, my knees, that I don't not agree. I'm saying no, I don't believe that all human brains were born the same way, no. Which is more important, NNS or caged? They're different. They're two different tools. One's a wrench, one's a hammer, okay? Okay, good. Tony from Liverpool. What's up, Tony? Good to see you, buddy. Eric, you've always been a straight talker. I respect you for that. Sometimes people don't like the truth. They don't, and I'm trying to weed those people out. If you don't like the truth, get the hell out of this room, all right? That's what my grandma used to say. I don't know. No, she didn't, but no, I mean, just speak the truth, right? I am goofy. NNS makes understanding chord progressions easier. It does, indeed. It makes it so much easier. Good. After 2 years of UGS Pro, now my guitar loves me back. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, just because you believe something doesn't make it true. Just because you don't believe in something doesn't make it true either, right? However, there's something called collective consciousness, and there is something to say about believing in a particular something. If you believe, look, man, it's going on right now. There are people that believe a certain thing, and then they're doing a certain thing because they're filled with fear, and then there's other people who are not filled with fear, and it seems that the fear follows, that bad things follow those who believe in fear, and those that don't lean into fear and are not freaked out about everything, luck seems to find them. And I find this, I've never not seen this happen. It doesn't mean that there are not anomalies. It doesn't mean, but I'm saying statistically, and I know that right there pisses people off. And if it does, you know, I'm sorry for you. I'm not trying to be right. It's just, I've just seen it. I've lived it. I've lived my life both ways. And I much would rather live my life believing and hoping, for sure. Okay? All right, good stuff. Geez, what is going on with this chat? Dang. Oh, it's blowing up. Okay. All right, looking for question mark, question mark, question mark. Thank you, Live Alive. Beautiful. What brand of Capo are you using? This is a shub. This is what bluegrass players use. SHUBB. It's adjustable. I love them. I have lots of different Capos, though, so I'm not like married to any particular one, but it's really great one. Have you trained yourself to quickly know the third of any chord called out to you? That seems it would be very helpful. Yeah, and that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy to do. I go over that in the Unstoppable Guitar System, and, when we talk about triads, to know the 1, the 3, and the 5 are at any point, and to know the inversions of them, okay? All right, your chakra, your third eye. Scott is tracking with me, man. Danke. You're welcome, Jason. Bitte, right? Everything I've ever been interested in, I've gone full throttle into, and I've put so much effort into music. Yes, good. That's excellent. My knees hurt. Also, remember this, that what we think, okay, we have a perception of something, and it could be truth to us, your truth, that whole bit, your truth. Well, you could believe 2 + 2 is 5. You could believe that all day long. I don't think it's going to make that happen. I don't know, maybe you can bend reality with that. I think there's some degree of bending reality, but I don't know with stuff like that. But if someone believes, you know, I know people who believe that they've worked hard. I'm not saying this is you, my niece. I'm just saying, I'm talking about perception now. I know people who believe, hey, I've worked really hard for this and I deserve this. When in fact, if you look at how much they've worked, you're like, dude, you haven't done jack crap. You think you've worked hard because have you ever met those people where everything is so hard? And so they do this littlest thing and they think, oh my God, I've worked so hard. I know that's not you, my niece. I'm just saying, I've known this. I've been this. I am this still. I'm working on myself all the time. So what we think is a good thing. Put it out there, but don't, I'd ask this for anybody who thinks that they've worked really hard on the guitar and they should be as good as Jimi Hendrix or as good as whoever, Guthrie Trapp, or name a great guitar player who you like. You go, have you practiced as much as them? And did you practice the things that they practiced? No? Okay. Well, maybe let's start there and then let's re-talk. We'll talk about it again. Okay. Oh, a period of momentous change is happening right now. Oh, hell yeah, it is, Ken. Yes, it is. I 100% believe that. I don't even have to believe it. It's just happening. You can see it happening. The old systems are coming down, and they're going to come down more and more, friends, over the next few years. But that's what has to happen for the new guard to take place. Everything has to come down. Eric, you once mentioned a book about demons killing our pleasures in life. What was that title again? Are demons killing our pleasures in life? Jason, I'm not even sure. If you're talking about the screw tape letters, that had to do with demons, Uncle Demon sending letters to his nephew Demon about winning souls, and it's a really great book, and it's all psychology, but it's amazing. A beautiful book. I'm not sure which one specifically you're talking about there. Maybe you can help me out. Yeah, beautiful. What is a partial capo used for? So you can use a regular capo for this, or you could use a partial capo, but essentially what it does is it allows you to do certain things like, like if I wanted to play in drop D, right, where I'm doing like, that's drop D, right? So like if I didn't want to do that, I technically could use the capo and capo strings 5 through 1, right? And I could do something like, let's see. I'd have to have some different fingering here, but right, so I did kind of the same riff there, but I've used the capo. So it allows you to do some different things, play in some different keys, that sort of thing, okay? All right, Eric, what do you think about anyone who is truly self-taught on the guitar? I kind of laugh at that one because self-taught means you grew up in a cave with your guitar, you never listened to another guitar player, you never looked at tablature, you never listened to music, then that would be the only self-taught guitar player. Okay, this idea of being self-taught is ridiculous, because if it'd be like someone's like, oh, I self-taught myself how to speak English. Did you? You self-taught yourself. You didn't listen to anybody. You didn't listen to your parents growing up. Your parents didn't teach you mama, dada, poo-poo? No? Because if they did, then you're not self-taught. They taught you. So the idea of self-taught, people say this a lot. It's an ego thing. I hate ego, especially when it comes to music, because it destroys music, destroys art, destroys a lot of things. So the idea of being self-taught, I got strong feelings about that. Just because I don't believe anybody's self-taught. You know, I could say I'm self-taught. I had a few guitar lessons, but at the same time, you know, I'm learning from the greatest. If I listen to Jimi Hendrix or Jimmy Page or whatever, and I'm copying their licks, I'm no longer self-taught. I'm learning what they learned, right? So that's my thought on that, David. But fairly opinionated about that one, as you can see. Babylon must fall, indeed. Patrick, you got it right. Babylon is falling. Mm-hmm. Eric, it was about putting doubts in our minds, stopping us from trying things and taking pleasure away before we even start those things. Huh? I'm not totally sure, Jason. I'm so sorry. If you can find out where I said that in another one, in another video, let me know. Okay. All right, friends. It's 1:11. It's a perfect time to end. A serendipitous number? I don't know. Whatever you call that. Auspicious, I think is the word. I don't know what I'm talking about. Friends, I do know a little bit about the number system, a little bit about guitar, so I'm here to help you. Please let me know how I can help you. If you're in the Unstoppable Guitar System already, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, friends, and you want some more help, take advantage. The second link below is going to help you a ton. $1 will give you 30 days to try it out. If you don't like it, get out like the 29th day. Give us a day or so to get you out of there, right? So it doesn't hit your credit card. And just try the whole thing. It's like letting you drive a Tesla for a month, okay? If someone said that to me, I definitely would take them up on it, and I probably would get the Tesla, okay? Even though they're really expensive, I probably would. I don't know with what money, with Mike's money. All right. Friends, thank you so much for being here today. Also, don't forget the PDF, which is the first link below. The $1 trial offer is after that. Okay, I'm out here. I'll see you.